Hey folks, Tacky Talk Time with State Representative Tacky Chan of Quincy. I think is this the first one for May, Tacky?
Uh, Actually, yes. I think last week was April 30th, the last day of April. So happy
Yeah.
May, everyone.
Yeah, happy May. Did you have a good May Day?
Well, actually, I went to I wish I could, again, you guys have discovered I can't pronounce words correctly. The Holi event on Sunday, which is a Hindu event. If I recall correctly, I may be completely wrong here, on Vishnu's defeating the evil demons and the celebration of spring and celebration of good over evil. And it's celebrated with great food and dancing and music and throwing color. I'm going to put it that way at each other. You wear white and light color clothes, and people hit you with color. This case, it was powdery colors, and everyone's open game. So great to see an event like this for the first time in the city, up in Kavanaugh Field, up in North Quincy by Atlantic Middle School, and had a great time. And obviously, I wish to see more different cultural events from my local organizations, and share and have fun, and everybody gets a chance to learn about something new.
Yeah, did you get colored?
You check my Twitter account or my Facebook, you will see, and I think we have Instagram now, which I still have no idea how that really works. Staff has decided to move to Instagram world, as we're trying to find new ways to outreach. But of course, there is a limit to how much social media we can all carry, because even though you can kind of cross post, people tend to not realize that we have to be selective. You have to pick the best picture. You got to put it out there. You have to time it out. You can't put like 60 things at one time like I used to do early in my career. There's just literally just dump a lot of stuff in one day. No one wants to read all your stuff in one day. And it takes a bit of work. I think people underappreciate, particularly you don't have a communication staff. I don't have a press staff. Right?
Mhm.
And we sit and think about the best way to not um, not to drown you, not make it hard, but at the same time, we want to get sufficient views, and it's really not easy, as we kind of balance that out. And but you can see me with a little bit dirty shirt. So
Okay.
you can see me in a rare thing. You can see me in a white shirt, as most bunch of my friends. I don't wear white often, but it's white, but very colorful white.
May, of course, as you well know, is Asian American Pacific Islander Month, and AAPI, I guess, is the acronym.
Yeah, and this beautiful. Actually, today is about 10. Actually, it's now 10:08 on the computer, and on a beautiful May morning here after last night's storm. So we can confirm while using the newspaper that we are live and not pre-recording AI somewhere else on a random day. Yeah, no, it's AIP month. Actually, it's Asian American Pacific Islander Hawaiian month. Is something that is now referred to. Hawaiians are Asians. They are in the Pacific, but they're not Asia. They're in the Pacific Islander part, but they're also so far away from the Polynesians areas of the Pacific that they're kind of their own special world. And if you have a chance to read the history of Hawaii, I think you should. Hawaii is something they don't teach in our history books well, and it's a fascinating and also very tragic history about the Kingdom of Hawaii and how it became a U.S. state. So not get into many details, but I think people should definitely give that a look. It's also Jewish Heritage Month, so something to recognize. And this week is Nurses and Teachers Appreciation.
That's right.
So thank a nurse and thank a teacher. They're a big part of their lives. We never, from the day we're born, there's a nurse, and the day that we're very formative years, there's a teacher. So,
Usually the day we die, too, there's a nurse,
yeah, let's not go there yet.
But I mean, it just shows the significance of the profession.
Oh, absolutely. And they're asked, like teachers, both nurses and teachers are asked to do more than ever in the classrooms and in the hospitals as they take greater responsibilities, both in healthcare and education. Because of the nature of MCAS, because of the nature of first responders, first identifiers of abuse, both nurses and teachers are mandatory reporters. Greater attention and care to diversity and more different socioeconomic students, and of course dealing with a lot of issues with kids, such as mental health, substance abuse, greater awareness of today's worlds and challenges and different pressures put on not just our teachers, but also children's and school administration. The nurses are under the same pressure as well. They're also first mandatory first notifiers of abuse. They deal with a lot of family challenges, and of course, they also do different types of mental health and also a lot of stresses. As all of us have gone through some form of healthcare and a hospital challenge, including myself, and I'm sure you have as well. I mean, it can be very stressful, and a nurse with a smile and trying to help educate you on what's going on and try to provide some assurances that things are going to be okay is very important. But you cannot undervalue bedside manner in any way, shape, or form. In the same way how teachers have to communicate in a room full of 20, 30, sometimes 40 plus children of varying ages, and give everyone equal attention, but also broad attention, right? So, two very important professions in our lives, and you're right, we see them at the beginning and we see them at the end. But also, again, Asian American Pacific Islander Hawaiian Month, as well as Jewish Heritage Month. It's a great time to learn about people that live here. I think people forget learning about folks isn't just about looking at their countries they're from, but more importantly, looking at their contributions to the country they live in. Mm. And as you've heard multiple times over the years, Asian Americans on the whole is underappreciated regarding our contributions to history, and something we're working on in greater ethnic studies in our school systems. But thanks to WGDH, which I encourage people to watch, they do a lot of ethnic programming in terms of greater knowledge about different ethnic groups' contributions to America every month, as well as the fact that you can look at YouTube or any number of mediums regarding short videos and short documentaries. And obviously you got general websites, whether you go to any university historical web pages and also historical societies around the country. So it's funny, we have more sources forever to learn about ourselves, but we don't always take full advantage of it.
It's true. I did want to ask you, what do you think about the Quincy City Council voting to make Lunar New Year a school holiday?
Well, it's interesting because the council took it on their initiative, and I did read the resolution. I'm still trying to figure out, is a resolution just a school, but it reads to me like a citywide holiday.
Yeah, they've amended that to just have a school holiday.
Yeah, I get it, but I find it interesting because generally when the city does a holiday at the council level, it's a citywide recognition, not just against the school system, which I find curious. And also they did it this year and not last year when it was rejected last year. And the council didn't move to do it last year. They waited for a second attempt by the school committee to address the issue. So I found it interesting, as you can tell. Both, people tend to forget quickly. I'm very much an institutional person. It's like, this didn't work last time. It didn't work this time. And the Quincy Sun, they reached Quincy Sun because I was trying to follow the Quincy Sun. It was a very curious explanation about procedural issues because I don't claim to understand the school community procedural issues. I'm good in my world of procedure, but necessarily it doesn't translate to my understanding of procedures at the local level. It was just interesting how those procedural maneuvers went on the council on the school committee to get the vote they got. It is great to see them moving forward on, a lunar holiday. As you guys are probably aware now, lunar holiday does not fall on a single day. It's a mobile holiday because of the nature of the lunar calendar. So obviously the city council has to pick something. But also remind folks, April is also a lunar holiday if you follow the Buddhist calendar. If you don't follow the Chinese calendar, which they do in Vietnam and Korea and Japan, but also Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, and Nepal, and other Buddhist religions follow a different calendar, which tend to falls in the month of April, which is their lunar holiday. So welcome to the complexity of quote unquote Asians. We're obviously not lumped into one sum, including our New Year, depending on what country you're from and what religions you follow. And it's actually not a secular holiday because it is a religious holiday. Buddhism
Mhm.
is, and then they follow a religious holiday. Well, Lunar New Year is a secular holiday. I think people make these mistakes referring to things like Christmas and others. It is a secular holiday. It's similar to New Year's ourselves is a secular holiday. It's New Year. It's not Christmas. Christmas is actually a religious holiday,
Right.
which is part of the American culture in terms of the holiday cycle. Uh, Lunar New Year is more of a New Year plus Thanksgiving.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
That is probably more accurate to put it. So I read in the paper this stuff and I read people's commentary and I'm kind of like scratching my head about this. But if you're like Japan, you follow lunar holiday, Buddhist holiday, New Year holidays, depending on what's going on. You have things like Golden Week, which is a week off during the Lunar New Year season. And then you have like girls' days. It's kind of
Oh,
a different custom over there. Um, but I mean, it's interesting, and also I think somebody may be aware that lunar holiday is not always a day off for everyone. The restaurants are very busy New Year's Eve, very busy, and
this is true. Yeah.
even now because of changing economy, storefronts do open, and private businesses do open that are Chinese during lunar holiday itself. I've never taken a day off myself. Uh, and we always make arrangements later on during the week, and when I could eat soy products before the food allergies.
Right.
We done our nights doing Lunar New Year, and if it's like on the right day on the weekend, we do it at home. If not, we move it to another day. If we talked about this before in the show here about my holiday and what we're doing with our families. And it's,
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen the pictures of the food. It looks great.
yeah, I do try to cook well, but I mean, yeah, convenience of schedule. So, it's great to see. As you can tell, I have some candid curiosity questions since you asked. But
Well, I'd be curious to see, I mean, if the kids have school off, like as you referred to, the parents may not, so that might create some issues too.
well, if you plan ahead, it'll be fine.
Right.
Obviously, that's part of having a school calendar, right? Is to be
Right.
able to plan
Yeah.
ahead. So I mean, I think it's a great thing. At the same time, though, as you can tell, I have some questions. As I spend more time with diverse communities, in the Asian community, I learned that not everything's the same as I think it is. Um, as you all know, I don't just stay in the Chinese world. I leave that world a lot to go to other ethnic groups and learn about different things. And I think I'm very privileged to have the opportunity to do that. That, to be frank with you, local folks here do not.
Mm. Yeah, it's a good point. Good point. 'Cause they're in their close circles. Yeah.
Yeah, and I get it. All politics are local. But this month I'm gonna give a couple more speaking engagements um, to some non-Chinese groups as well as outside the city. And the IP month is a little bit busy for me because I do hit all my stuff at home the best I can, but I also try to make sure in this particular month, folks can see I'm actually quote unquote a high-ranking official, as you all know. You can see the air quotes. You guys can imagine that on the podcast, not watching me on video. But I mean, I like to remind folks that every single one of our voices are very important, no matter where we are in the state.
What's happening, speaking of, on Beacon Hill, Techie?
Well, this is a quiet week again. Next week we are scheduled for session. It's the week after. Speaker has indicated he'd like to do healthcare this month, especially after the Stewart bankruptcy on Sunday. We also are going to tee up the housing bond bill this month. That's what it sounds like. Economic development bill is still in process. We expect to see an economic development bill come out of committee and then move through the process sometime in June. I think we still have like a supplemental budget somewhere. We're still paying bills. It's kind of what supplemental budgets are doing. So we might have, I think we might have one floating someplace,
I
but
think we do, actually, now that I recall. Yeah.
I think we do. So we're probably going to try to address that in June. And before we blink, it'll be July 4th. And, I'll be discussing my sunstroke opportunities again.
Let's hope that doesn't happen. My goodness.
I gotta get smarter about July 4th. We do this so many years. I think I learned by now, do not like get sunstroke.
You need to have a slew of hats available at all times, Jackie.
Like, I love my neighborhood events. It isn't the event's the problem. The problem is I might kill myself. Um,
We don't want to make that kind of news.
yeah, it's not their fault. After all these years, I stepping out and plan it better. But that's just my problem, not yours. So I mean, we got some stuff teed up. There'll be more stuff coming along the way. As you see, John Keenan's on the Revenge Porn Conference Committee. So conference committee's been formed of some of these other bills, and the Senate obviously debating their budget the week before Memorial Day weekend.
Yep.
They just released their budget yesterday. A little unusual Tuesday. It's not problematic. It's a little unusual. They generally also try to do a Wednesday release, not a Tuesday release. But it's there's nothing rude. There's no rule against it. It's just interesting. They just deviated by off schedule just a teeny bit. And then we'll see where things lie. So you had mentioned last time you talked about the April revenue numbers, which came out from Department of Revenue. They released the press release, but they didn't have the detailed breakdown of all the components. And it's interesting. We are up significantly in April as expected, about $1 billion ahead of projection, which is great. But I think it overshadows a couple of things I flagged. Is that the sale use tax was down very little, down about $10 million, but still down, which is a bad indicator because it was down heavily going into tax season, which means that there was a pickup during the last month or so in sales tax and use tax. And then business taxes were down. Corporate taxes were down, which is also an indication of potentially slowing economy. Those numbers I'm looking at more because when you have a reduction in sales use tax means that consumers aren't spending, which then translates into wages eventually, which then results in no new hiring or hour shifts in the commercial sector. If business taxes are down, it's not necessarily always just revenue down. It's another question about whether or not businesses are going out of business or downsizing their business significantly. I don't think that the tax number is so low that there's a massive downsizing closure. But it's interesting, and also I think some estimated tax payments were a little bit slow, because those listening that pay quarterly taxes, not everybody gets those in on time. I mean, there's that component, and you got that quarterly tax that comes in, and then the breakdown that I need to see in the end of the day is the so-called millionaire's tax, that plus 4%. How much it is that for plus 4%, because that goes straight to transportation education trust fund. That isn't part of the baseline budget by constitution. And then you also have the capital gains tax, which again does not go to the baseline budget. It goes all straight to rainy day fund, stabilization fund. So, that surplus, so-called ahead number, may not be as ahead as it looks if the bulk of that is from the millionaire's tax and capital gains. So again, there's still more numbers to decipher once Department of Revenue is able to provide a greater breakdown of which taxpayer makes up this ahead of benchmark. And the governor's already indicated there's going to be no reversing of prior cuts. The legislature is unlikely to also want to do that. I mean, could, but I'm not hearing that we're going to. But that could change. Again, we need to see what the breakdown of that is. If the vast majority of that money came from millionaire's tax and cap gains, that doesn't help the bottom line.
Yeah, the devil's in the details, as they say. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, we always keep reminding people over and again this how our budget cycle works and how some of that money is dedicated, essentially off budget in the sense that it's not part of the baseline spending. It's all put into dedicated items or reserve accounts that we shouldn't be touching. We can't touch what we should be touching unless there's a very serious situation on a downturn. And I've been around long enough to see the importance of a rainy day fund and how to phase it in as opposed to just drop a whole lot in 1 year, because it's just not wise. And most people don't really know, because why would you? That's kind of my job. But you watch this and spend enough time in this gig working on it long enough, you see the value of having a healthy reserve, but also with good knowledge, the fact that those reserves have to last you multiple years.
Yeah, I think it's, last I looked at it, $9 billion, I think, with a B.
Yeah, this is extremely healthy weighed against a $59 billion budget. I'm
Right.
gonna, what often you hear now is that, folks who say we should give that back in tax credits or tax rebates. That's always a very popular slogan, but those people are very short-sighted. Not to beat on the other party, but they like in DC, they like to live on a credit card, not on a balanced budget. Well, it will give you more, but you pay less. Everyone loves that rhetoric. But you don't do that in your retail store, do you? Do you do that in your small business? You guys do that in your checking book at home? I mean, people complain about overspending. It's really about putting everything on credit. And the state is a balanced budget. We do not put our budget on credit. Our bonding is tied strictly to capital budgets. We do have a limit on how much we can borrow a year. We do have a bond cap that we don't move. It's really tied to CPI. And our bond debt payments are well under 5% of the budget, which is very, very important because the Wall Street likes to see certain things. They want to see that you pay your bills on time and that you are able to pay your bills on time and you're able to control the size of your debt. So you are able to pay your bills on time.
Yeah, funny how that works, right? It's kind
Yeah.
of like when you go for a mortgage, they want to make sure you're able to pay it back.
Yeah, the state is subject to those same conditions as everyone else. They wanted those very specific things about your capacity to pay and pay on time. So, like I said, I'm not. You guys all know that I don't think the sky is falling. I think we do have to be very cautious. And as we kept seeing over the it's very unpredictable. Today's unemployment claims came in above estimate by about 20,000 plus, largest estimate miss on more claims than expected since August. And we talked about GDP a couple of weeks ago, and things are slowing down a little bit in our economy now. Whether that becomes a recession, I don't think so, but I do think that things are going to shift, and a lot of the big hospitality companies, particularly domestically, are talking about potential slowdown this summer.
Yeah. So yeah, and God forbid we have another pandemic or something like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they got global instability right now. We talk about that more than once already about all the various tragedies and crises on the planet, and we are a globalized nation, and how other economies handle their local issues affect us because again, we're a huge exporter of raw materials, and we're also a huge exporter of high-end goods. The United States is still a manufacturing and still a raw goods exporter. And I think people, don't feel that here in Massachusetts as much because we don't think about how our seafood we help move out. We don't think about the high-tech equipment. We don't think about the medicines we move out. It obviously makes more sense in, the steel belt, the bread baskets of the country, exporting is very important to them. But it's regardless of the fact that all countries are moving to more self-sufficiency or redundancies post-COVID, which we all discovered is very important to have redundancies. There's still a degree of globalizations because how are you going to build that redundancy without U.S. Steel or U.S. iron, right? Or we're going to send you other raw materials like copper, right? So the world's still in a shifting place, and the United States is still the single most important part of that shifting as the world moves around.
It's scam season again, Jackie.
Yeah, you've seen the news. I believe there was a Kingston senior grandma who was scammed into thinking that one of their siblings, I think it was one of the grandchildren, scammed that they were kidnapped, and this posing FBI agent was asking for cash and gift cards and whatnot. And there was a payment into a friend. She talked to her friend, and there was a problem, and they called the local police. You've seen this on emails as well. You're seeing for example, I've seen emails saying from Xfinity, quote unquote. Again, you can't see my video, but saying that there was missed payments. Click on these links. You've seen the same thing on your cell phones. Whether it be like Wells Fargo or Bank of America, your account's suspended. Click on this link. Yeah, and then you got the robocalls, we're immigration officers, give us money or you're going to get deported, right? I mean, this is still an immigrant city. And we're a very big target for immigrant scams saying, give us money, we're going to deport you. And it's generally in Chinese because of the nature of this area. So, again, please look twice regarding anything that isn't in the, U.S. Post saying that you missed a payment. You always can call the number on the back of your credit card or the phone number on the bill. Do not call the number that's on the email. Go to your bill. Go online and enter the portal because people pay online now these days, use paperless. Go on those portals and call them if you think there's a scam going on to see what's happening. It can happen to a young person, it can happen to an old person. It's a very commonplace these days, unfortunately. And if you're not sure, ask. Obviously you can call, our office, but you can call your local police. You can, go to the FTC. You can look at the FTC, FEC scams. They have the list of all the scams now. But also, like I say, you can call directly to the companies. And if it's something you don't have, like I don't have Bank of America, so clearly,
right off the bat, it's a scam. Yeah,
exactly. And I do know that people feel a little bit ashamed they've been scammed, but you're better off telling someone. And it's important to let retailers and government know that these scams are coming to place. And I think they're becoming hot and heavy. Now we have tax season, tax rebates are available. People, scammers want to get a hand on your rebate. And they're going to pick on all populations. I'm talking about a part of the population that that's been talked in the news, but this can affect all of us. So think twice. Think twice before clicking on anything or responding or calling a number. There's better ways for you to verify directly from the source that you have on physical paper or your online portals. But yeah, it's right now hot and heavy. I've already got several emails with that type of scam right now, and of course you got a lot of data breaches. AT&T is still trying to figure out the scope of their data breach. United Healthcare is still trying to figure out the scope of the data breach, which then opens you up to more vulnerabilities from scams from those companies that pretend to be the company. And definitely check the email addresses, because what often happens is say Infinity on the email when you look at it, but it doesn't actually have the address itself. So you got to kind of like click on it to see what the address is, and it kind of clues you in that there was some gobbledygooky address and there's something wrong with this picture. And they put things like constant contact in the bottom. I mean, this isn't very simple but sophisticated at the same time. Scams to make you think because you see so much of it.
right. Yeah, good advice. Just go to the source. If there's an issue with your cable bill, your utility bill, your bank, just go directly to the source. Don't click on a link. Don't call a number. Just go to the source.
Yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much all we can do these days. I mean, don't respond immediately. Is the minor thing I tell folks. There's no reason to jump right away to look at it right away by clicking all this stuff. It's so tempting and easy to do so.
Right.
I
know you wanted to clarify a little bit about what we talked last week with municipal aggregation, Tacky.
Yeah, you guys got to May 15th. Time's running out if you want to change your service. And my ability to enunciate haunts me to no end, as you know. So it's Dynegy. Is that Dynegy? Yeah, I keep saying Entergy for some reason because it's easier to say than Dynegy. Company is Dynegy. Your thing from the letter from the city is absolutely correct. Quincy CEA.gov.
No, it's com.
Yeah. Com.com is still the right website.
Yep.
I just want to remind folks that you got to May 15th to make that change. You're still going to, otherwise, you're going to be put on standard service. If you're on the National Grid system in terms of the basic default utility rate, electrical rate, you're going to be automatically put on. If you already have a private contract with somebody else, obviously you can't touch that private contract with somebody else. But particularly, everyone that's on National Grid, basic service, it's Dynegy. And like I said, you got to May 15th, as I said, like twice already. So be aware you can be put on standard service, which is not the lowest rate, is the mid rate between the lowest rate and the highest rate. And if you want to get to the lowest rate, or you may want to go 100% renewable and take the highest rate, you got to make that call very, very soon.
Yep. It's still significantly lower than the National Grid basic rate, so it's a good deal. It really is. I wish all communities had it.
Yeah, again, I'm very good support of municipalization. It forces competitive supply countries to lower their rate. The utility companies do not have a lot of flexibility on rate changes. Because the regular utilities, they're subject to state review regarding the rate mechanisms. The competitive supply companies are not subject to state review. They compete against each other and against municipalization and against the utility companies. So
Right.
it could create opportunity. For example, if you're on the municipal rate, you go shopping for a competitive supply rate, you may actually see a better rate in 6 months to a year if you actually make the effort to look. And we've talked about this before. On various websites, you can take a peek around and do a little bit of homework and
Mhm.
shop.
Yep, and you can opt out anytime, no penalty. So
Yep.
there's no downside. Yeah.
Find a better deal, get out and take the better deal.
We have only a short amount of time this week, Tacky, but I want to give folks a preview. Can we talk next week about some of the ballot questions? I'm starting to see some of the ads now coming out.
Yeah, you're going to see them come out. The question is who has the most money, and I have not looked at the Office of Campaign Finance's ballot initiative PACs, and I believe a new one's been formed regarding the psychedelic medication, aka mushrooms. And there's an opposition group that's just been recently formed to it. So I think there's still more time coming for these political action committee ballot questions, or political action ballot question committees, or whatever it's called on the campaign finance website, coming on board. I think there'll be more coming, but yeah, we can talk about those because they're all heading for the ballot.
Right, exactly. Okay. Here's your big opportunity.
Yeah, my speed.
Website, email, all that stuff.
Yeah, speed time. 617-722-2370, 617-722-2370. Feel free to give me a ring. The office is open. Just get us. If please be patient if the reception person is tied up, because it is Jerry Paracel's office. He did not call the wrong number. You have to wait for me after their prompts are done. Tacky.chan at mahouse.gov, tackey.chan at mahouse.gov. We preferable contact is email and phone is my preference. Obviously, with State Representative Tacky Chan Facebook, we have at Tacky Chan on X. We have malegislature.gov. You can start watching us in session starting next week on full formals. You've got Tacky Chan at org. And of course, we have QATV here with Joe, and you can catch his morning updates as well as his weekly videos, as Joe just peppers me with whatever questions come to mind, although he gave me a little bit of warning this time.
I did give you some homework this time. I want to wish all the moms a very happy Mother's Day, including your own, Tacky.
Happy Mother's Day this coming Sunday, May 12th. Yeah,
That's
May 12th.
right.
So happy Mother's Day, everyone. I hope you enjoy a lovely weekend with mom.